What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown City Geekcast, and we have a very special one for you viewers. This is our Stan Lee tribute episode, and we had to do it with a video, and we had to do it with all of our Geekcasters, or as many as we can, get them together. Sorry, Robin, you couldn't be here. My name is Steady. With me on this very special Stan Lee tribute episode are my buddies Jericho.
Yo.
And the man, the myth, the legend, JC?
This is my name. Hey, everybody.
I just realized that I don't think I gave you your intro at the Celebrity Fan Fest.
No, you didn't give anybody the intro.
No.
There's too much going on.
No, it's fine.
I mean, we all said hi, but we didn't get an intro.
Well,
There's a lot
we
going
had
on.
a pretty good outro.
Yeah,
True.
we did.
That we did.
But
That
I
was hilarious.
didn't do your man, myth, legend thing, your
No,
bit.
that's okay. I'm good.
It's all right. That's a mark
They
on
know
Ted.
who I am now.
My apologies.
You know who I am.
I need to
He
make
doesn't
sure we
need an
do it.
introduction. That's what it is.
We still need Rob's interview with Spider-Man if we want to get that with the whole.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Like I stated just a second ago, this is our Stan Lee tribute episode. That's why I'm wearing my Marvel Studios cap, in order to really make sure we give Stan Lee his justice and make sure that we give him all the time that he deserves. JC, we have a Stan Lee driven agenda today. What are we talking about?
First thing we're going to mention, and we mentioned this a little bit on the recent episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast, was our top cameos, favorite cameos that Stan Lee made throughout so many Marvel movies and DC, actually.
Yeah.
Favorite character or series that Stan Lee had, and maybe a personal story or some final thoughts. So, not a big rundown, but...
Which, glad you could join us today. I have a Stan Lee story you've never heard before. You're going to want to wait till the end of the episode to make sure you hear it. So don't go anywhere. And I promise you it's going to be well worth it. You're going to get an in-depth look on how Stan was sort of behind the scenes. He's probably exactly how you imagine he would be, but that's all going to come at the very end of the episode. So you don't want to go anywhere. Jericho, let's go ahead and start with you, man.
gotta start with me.
Well, we're talking about cameos,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of them. He's had cameos ever since his first one. I think was the Hulk TV show with Lou Ferrigno. If you don't know, that was his very first cameo, if I'm not mistaken. He played a juror in an episode that dealt with a courtroom drama or something like that.
Don't take mine, Jericho, either. I mentioned mine.
Don't take mine either.
Well-
So give us your favorite Stan Lee.
So this is my
top
favorite. So if
cameos.
it happens to be
Movie cameo.
y'all's favorite, I can't help that.
All right,
That means it was that
fine.
good.
Okay, he's going to go last.
So
Go ahead.
I feel bad for taking it because I feel it is your favorite,
Yeah,
JC.
because I said it.
So Teen Titans Go.
Oh, he did. He went there.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I saw it well after JC saw the movie. So
You saw it because I told you to
He
say
saw it
it.
last. He saw it
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw it a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, Teen Titans Go was like an amazing cameo, my all-time favorite because number one, you don't think it's him, and especially before he starts talking, because you see a guy, looks exactly like him as a cartoon, and then he starts talking. I'm like, man, it's a really good impersonator, and and then he's he's in the DC movie, and it's like it's not Stan Lee. Turns out it's him. Just everything he was saying and everything. Not caring that he was in a DC movie, the fact that he had help, in making DC what it is too, and kind of started, was like a little nod to it, a nice little nod. That has to be my absolute favorite, especially because he comes in twice. I don't think he's ever done two cameos in one movie. Like he comes back. I don't know if you've seen it, Ted.
We won't count end credit scenes because he did do a Guardians cameo and then he did an end credit.
End credits. How am I supposed to
True.
get home?
Yeah.
So
There you go. Okay.
that's two, but it wasn't during.
Two
it wasn't two
within the
during the
movie.
film. It was
two. So I thought,
So
and
it
he even
is a
says like,
first.
what does he say? Like, I'm in a DC movie or
I
something
don't
like that.
care if I'm in a
Yeah,
DC movie.
yeah, something
I
like that.
love cameos. Not
Yeah.
now, Stanley.
Oh my god.
Excelsior.
Yeah. So that's my all-time favorite. Second, I'll do three. So second, I'm gonna have to say, not Star Wars. Fuck.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Star Wars. You saw him. You didn't.
Not
you
Why?
Star
didn't
Why
watch
not?
him.
Why
Not
not?
Star Wars F-bomb.
My bad.
Star. Yeah.
Whoops. Not apple
unless he
juice.
shows up in episode 9, which would be hilarious.
That would
Do
be
it.
cool.
Just put him in everything from now on.
Second favorite, I would say was it Amazing Spider-Man? Well, with the lizard, Andrew Garfield.
That was no Lizards.
Amazing
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, the first one.
One, yes.
Because he's in the library and
He's got
the fact, he has the big old headphones on. He's just putting, books away. Chaos is behind him. Huge fight. Everything's being destroyed, and he's just moving around. Doesn't feel anything. Doesn't hear anything.
The table almost hits him, and Spider-Man grabs it, throws it back at the lizard. Yeah.
Which, by the way, that has to be some really good headphones to not hear any of that.
Oh God, yeah.
So they were probably Beats or something.
Yeah.
Beats by Stan.
Or Bose, yeah, Beats by Stan. So I love that one, and he was none the wiser, of what was happening behind him. Third favorite, I would have to say also a Spider-Man movie. What was it? 2 or 3 when Peter Parker's like kind of down and out about being Spider-Man right, and then he
3.
Was it 3? Okay,
right.
And he just comes up, says one line, bounces, and
What was the line?
He doesn't know. That's
I don't
why
remember the line.
You can't use it if you're not gonna say the line.
Okay, so it's not a favorite then.
It's not a favorite.
Do you remember every single line? Oh, fuck it.
I guess
Sorry.
I guess one person
That's
can
one of
make
my.
it.
Oh,
Nailed it. It's on my list.
I was gonna. It's on my list too.
Okay, well, see,
Damn.
that's how great we think.
See?
Yeah,
okay.
they're all the best.
So those are mine.
Spider-Man 3. Number 2 for me is definitely Deadpool 1. Which is also my wife's favorite because strip club, everything else going on in Deadpool, and there he is introducing chastity.
So great and
Yes.
funny.
But I said this on the WrestleCast. Top one is definitely Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and it's not for the fact that he was in it; it's because you don't expect it. You go to so many Marvel movies, it's X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers, MCU, whatever. You're like, okay, where's Stanley? Where's he going to pop up? You're waiting for it. I mean, Deadpool 2 was real subtle. You didn't even see him. So it was like, where was he? Although, once upon a Deadpool, he might be in there when they redo it. They shot new scenes.
That's right.
Yeah, but then you go to a DC movie. Like, there's no way Stanley's going to be here.
DC animated movie.
DC animated movie. They're on the Warner Brothers lot. And my thought, because it is the greatest TV show of all time, is where are Yakko, Wacko, and Dot?
Yeah.
Because if they showed up, it'd be fun.
There it is.
But no, we get a guy looking like a janitor.
He shows up every episode.
Every
yes,
episode.
yeah. And
It always gets me.
yeah, you're welcome. Stan Lee shows up in a DC movie.
One of the Beatles in here.
Yeah, for his not so subtle cameo, but he's making a big deal about it. And then tells him,
So great.
yeah. So that for me was my favorite because it was so unexpected. That's my top one. Easily.
Actually, I'm gonna. We'll get back to me, but I'm gonna change my third. I just remembered what my true third favorite is.
Well, my third favorite, I'm going in reverse order from you guys.
Yeah.
Is the him talking to Tobey Maguire saying, "I guess one person can make a difference."
We already said that.
Enough said.
I understand. You guys all took mine. Jeez.
Should have gone first then.
Yeah.
My second one hasn't been said yet.
Okay.
Are you Tony Stank? Yes,
Oh, man.
this is Tony
Yes, this is
Stank.
Tony Stank.
And thank you for that. Don Cheadle played that just perfectly.
Yeah.
And the look on Robert Downey Jr.'s face is just priceless. So it's I love the cameos. We can talk about it like this because they happen so often. I love the cameos that are just unexpected because there was like a really heartfelt conversation between Robert Downey and Don Cheadle right before that.
Yep.
They're like talking about, Don really trying to have some sense of his life now that he's sort of, paralyzed or handicapped, but he's got this contraption on his feet. So
Maybe in Avengers 4 he'll come back, or in the next Avengers he'll come back and call him Tony Stank just one more time.
just one more time. And my top one, my favorite one is, of course, coming up next to the stage, it's Chastity.
Well, trivia, what was the first cameo he played where he played an actual character that he created?
Oh man.
Think about this one.
I don't know. Is there a comic strip where he played the Hulk once? Am I thinking of something weird?
I will say it was a series that was very underrated on the movies.
Oh, go ahead. What is it?
Fantastic Four 1, where he played the mailman.
Oh,
That was a character
wow.
created.
Okay.
He cameoed as that character he created. So
Yeah.
Nice.
that was, a little trivia there. It was the first time he cameoed as someone he actually put in his strip. And I actually cameoed as that character in the first Fantastic
Nice.
Four. So
That's
Yeah.
cool.
He played is it Simpsons? He was on the Simpsons.
just gonna say that.
That's what I'm
I was
thinking of.
just gonna
Sorry.
Freaking say that.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you were. He was on the Simpsons,
He's like, I've hulked out before.
and he says, "I'm the Hulk too," or something like that. And so he's in the front yard of the Simpsons house, like right or in front
No,
of
in front of the comic book shop.
in front of the comic book shop.
And he's there like,
And he's trying to get mad and angry, and the comic book guy is just looking at him like, "That's enough. You're embarrassing
oh my
yourself."
God. But just the noises too. He's like,
Ah.
and then he did come out in Incredible Hulk when he
Yes.
drank the juice, the contaminated
That's
soda
the
or
one
whatever.
time he died. in
That's
a
the
film.
only cameo he died in.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dark
Yeah.
for one of his first cameos.
in
Yeah,
the MCU.
in the
Oh, yeah.
MCU.
Yeah.
That was his second only cameo in the MCU. First
Yeah,
one was
but he-
Iron Man.
Yeah, but he had made a few others before that. All the Spider-Man movies, X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So I'm gonna change my third.
To the Simpsons?
Well, Simpsons would be number 4, but number 3 actually would be Age of Ultron, Avengers: Age of Ultron. When they're at the bar, y'all know what I'm talking about. They're at
Yes.
the tower,
Yeah.
and they're at the bar, and he's playing a war vet, which he truly
He
was.
really is.
And he was there with a few other vets there, and it's Thor and Cap are talking, and Thor brings out a drink. I forgot what it was called, but it was like an Asgardian drink. And
It's been like festering for how many centuries? Or whatever
yeah,
he said it
yeah.
was.
And, like it's supposed to be like amazing, only for basically superhumans, can drink it, and and he says something. Thor says something like, "Oh, it wasn't meant for mere mortals," and this is after Stanley asked for a drink of it, and he's like, "Well, neither was
Omaha Beach."
Omaha Beach, yeah."
But yeah.
And then he's like, and he gave it to him, and then it cuts to, and he just says Excelsior, but he's like,
Excelsior.
he's wasted. But I thought that was a nice little nod because he was a war vet, and it kind of showed Thor thought, hey, you're a true vet, so kind of honored him that way. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
it's
So definitely third.
If you haven't seen the U.S. Army's tweet, they did tweet that. Rest in peace, soldier. Comic book creator, the real Stan Lee, passed away age of 95. He served in the U.S. Army Single Corps during World War II from 1942 to 1945. We are deeply grateful for his service. You can probably put this great picture of him while
Yeah.
he was serving. Yeah, hashtag
Very cool.
Excelsior. So, pretty amazing guy. Just what he did in 95 years. It's not the how many years you live. It's how much life you give to those years.
There you go.
It's
Exactly.
pretty awesome. And he was a prime example of that. So.
And I have one wish. I know it's not going to come true,
Yeah.
but my wish is that in Avengers 4, if I could write Avengers 4, Russo brothers, if you have time to kind of change the ending, now's a good time to do it. If
Yeah.
not, I'm going to go call the guy the Hishi guys over at
There you
How
go.
It Should Have Ended. I got one for you, and here's how it goes. It's pretty much one all over again. Avengers go up against Thanos. They're not doing very well. They're pretty much down and almost out. Thanos has the upper hand. But in comes Stan Lee. He is one of the Watchers. And he says something to the effect of, I've been observing the human race for many, many years or decades or centuries. And I've sat idly by, not interfering. I cannot interfere any longer. And he takes out Thanos himself.
Oh,
Takes out
that'd be
Thanos
nice.
himself. Maybe uses a time stone. He reverses everything back to Avengers 3, Infinity War. Everybody's alive again. Stan Lee saves the day. I want Stan to save all the Avengers and all the heroes in Avengers 4.
That's the way to go out. All
Does
right.
it even matter like who saves if Stan does it? If Stan does it, who's going to be mad?
Yeah,
No one would be upset about that.
yeah, that's
right?
true.
I don't think anybody would.
No.
So if not, do just an alternate, do an alternate cut where the Watcher, the agent of the Watcher, Stan Lee, comes and saves the day and defeats Thanos and time stones everybody back into existence, and it will be the perfect ending, the perfect cameo for Stan. So not gonna happen, but if I had my own way and
Avengers
I could,
4, the steady cut.
boom,
Yeah.
We really should contact How It Should Have Ended.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Tell him now.
I got one
contact
for
them.
you.
I'm sure they
Hishi
got.
guys.
I'm sure they got their brains working somehow. all the Stanley cameos in Hishi films.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's our next topic, Senor?
I believe it was our favorite character or series that Stanley wrote, created, whatever universe you have out there. So
I have an easy one, and it's probably going to be similar to yours. It's not a character per se, but it's the entire X-Men.
Yep.
okay.
Just because of what it stood for. The X-Men was a group of outcasts, people that didn't feel like they belonged. They were shunned by the rest of the world. I mean, it dealt with a lot of racism, and it dealt with a lot of issues that were sort of happening around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he figured out a way to incorporate these themes into his comics. And he instead brought this group of people together and to save the world, multiple times over. And it's just him being ahead of his time, him being ahead of the game, putting these very important themes and real life scenarios into comics that really gave them a whole nother complex and a whole nother component that made all these stories great. He's a pioneer, and he's probably the last one, I think, that we've had. With Jack Kirby, with Bob, with Schuster. Who am I thinking about? The Superman creator.
Schuster.
Yeah. So, just he's the last of the pioneers, in my opinion. And we have a lot of great writers and artists still today, but he's the last of the OGs, in my opinion.
Legends.
Yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So mine would be the X-Men.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna have to go with X-Men because, I mean, you basically nailed it on the head right there. It's everything. At the time when they were created, we didn't have characters like that before they were created, and just a lot of issues going on in the world, even today too. I mean, it still applies and
Hasn't changed.
yeah, I mean, you can watch even just the cartoon itself. That was in the '90s, and you can watch it today. I still watch it. I have the DVDs at home, and yeah, there you go. That's my ringtone. I mean, you can watch it, and it's just all it applies, and. And I've read interviews that Stanley have done and has did in the past, and he talks about that exact reason and why he created characters like that, why he did comic books, and what everything he did. It stood for a reason. It wasn't just to make money. It wasn't to be famous, and it was to help people escape. Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your gender, sexuality, anything, religion. It was a way for you to escape from everyday problems, everyday issues, life, anything that you have going on. And give you just a few issues, a few moments to yourself, and have you escape into that world. And I think he did a great job with that. I mean, look what it sparked.
Yeah.
And I think X-Men really resonated with me too, and growing up. So I have a lot of favorites within the X-Men itself, but just the X-Men themselves, what they stood for is exactly what I love about them. Those are my favorite groups, favorite characters.
GC.
Yeah. You guys know I'm predominantly a DC guy, but if
Me
there's
too.
one Marvel character out there that I've always enjoyed, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Hands down. I think we can all relate to not necessarily having Spider-Man powers.
Maybe not you.
Bitten by
but-
yeah,
Me,
okay,
yeah,
whatever.
I can
Bitten
climb
by
walls.
Yeah, okay.
How do you think I got here?
Drove?
Swinging between buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, because there's so many buildings out here in the outskirts of San
The
Antonio.
light posts. Some of them are bent out
but,
there.
Trees.
the whole poor college student trying to find your way in this world and feeling like you have the weight of the world on you, being out there all on your own. And I mean, Stanley said he related so much to that character, trying to work hard, trying to figure things out, and they even really caught this on the movies. Is like he was always just down on his luck. He just never caught a break.
Yeah.
And that's I just always enjoyed that. I always enjoyed just what he fought for. I mean, he unfortunately had to learn things the hard way, losing his uncle the way he did, his father figure, but really taking that to heart, taking that responsibility. Great power comes great responsibility, and I really always enjoyed Spider-Man so much. I loved X-Men too, but Spider-Man was like just the big one for me on the Marvel side. So.
It was a superhero with real life problems.
Yes, I think that's why some people could relate to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real life issues. So
It was a guy with homework
yeah,
and tests.
He was literally a student. I mean, he was super young, and just everything he went through. And yeah, like you said, didn't even know his parents, and lost his uncle. Had to take care of his aunt. I mean, just everything.
just trying to pay rent.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's definitely
Keep
he's
his
one of my
grades
favorites.
up and pay rent.
And girls.
And girls. Girl drama,
Crushes.
getting out of the friend
So
zone.
many.
Something, that's so difficult sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm happily married. Thank you.
You got out of there, buddy.
Same.
Yes, yes.
You did it, my friend. You did it.
Yes.
He swung out of there. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Congrats to everybody that got out of the friend zone.
All right.
All right.
We have one more topic of the day, and it's talking about Stanley and any personal experiences we might have had with him.
Do you want to go last? Because I know you got a big one.
I'll probably go last. It's
Yeah.
gonna take forever. And you have, what do you have?
I
Ever seen him in person before?
I've met him. I've seen him in person at Alma City Comic Con from a distance because I couldn't afford the money to get in line. But the man was just signing autographs, and I've heard the stories. I've seen him. He had so much energy, and I never interacted with him in person, but he reminded me so much of my great grandfather, who passed away years ago. He was 102 when he passed away.
Wow.
And he even up until his passing, I mean, growing up, he started a family restaurant down in the valley, seafood restaurants, and up until his passing, he was still out there playing golf, drinking his cognac. My grandparents would take him to go gambling in Louisiana. He was active, and at my great grandfather's funeral, I mean, all his brothers and sisters were there. There was a lot. I think the next youngest was 100, 98, 97. The youngest was a boy and a girl twins that were 89. And they all looked just like him. They were all looked just as active as he was. So it was amazing to see. I think one of his sisters passed away recently. She was probably older than he was when she passed. So.
Wow.
And so
It's good genes.
good genes, yeah.
Definitely.
Mom's side too. Thank you. But he reminded me so much of my grandfather, just looking at the way he acted, the way he was active, the way he got around, and I always had a motto: is like you never get old, you never stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. And I think we could say 95 years young and mean it in Stanley's case. So that just for me, that's how I related to him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jericho.
Of course, you're going last.
Yeah, he has to.
It's gonna take an hour.
He's probably got the best one.
For sure. I mean, we'll get
take
into
a potty
that.
break when he starts.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, like with JC too. I mean, I never got to meet him in person, and I was at the same con. I think it was only one that he came, right? It was two. Okay,
There's
so
two.
I think it was his first one. And I
2014.
remember just seeing him from a distance. We were at the Rose. It was like, I forgot what it's, Celebrity Rose or whatever, and looking at who we were gonna go meet. And then there's this nice table set up and big old aisles and everything, for people to line up. And nobody had lined up yet. It was, I don't think they were letting people lined up yet. And I just remember we were looking at the celebrities, and I just remember hearing like a roar of people. And looking over, I'm like, "What is that?" I look over, and it's just see like,
and it was me.
yeah, it was Ted. Steady just got there, and everyone said, "Okay, we can get this started." And I just see like a little group of people moving, and then up the stairs, I'm like, "Oh, it's Stanley," and I'm hitting to my wife. I'm like, "It's Stanley, it's Stanley," and we weren't.
And she's
supposed
like,
to.
I know.
She's like, leave me alone. And I got my phone out, and he's a good distance away, so it wasn't a great picture, but I could say I have a picture of Stan Lee. But yeah, I mean, he so that's my experience of meeting him or breathing the same air as him. But yeah, I mean, just he seemed the way he lived life and everything, the way his interviews. I've even before passing, I always read, heard a lot of his interviews, saw his videos and everything, because he's an extraordinary person, and again, everything he stood for, and he's just one of those people that I do wish that I got to meet. He seemed amazing, and I don't know. It's fine that I didn't meet him. I'm cool with that. It would have been cool to meet him though. It would have been nice. But yeah, just everything that he stood for, and he seemed genuine. He seemed, he's not. He didn't seem like one of the celebrities where, again, he's in it for the money and all that and the fame, and he even used that to help a lot, and he just seemed like he was there for the fans and not because it made him famous, and he was very humble. I guess that's what I'm getting at. He never forgot where he came from, and he was Stan Lee, and I mean, he shared his history with us, his life and everything, and his love for his wife. And that was actually super sad when his wife passed. And,
Yeah.
And I think going back to the cameos, I remember he even mentioned his favorite cameo is the one he got to do in X-Men 2 with his wife.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was the only one he ever did with her, and I thought that was pretty cool to see that. And but yeah, to know that that was his favorite cameo out of all the cameos that he did, I think that would be, if I was him, that would be my favorite too. But yeah, so that's how I feel about Stan. Stan the man.
Stan the man.
Man.
Oh man. I'll just go back a little bit into just last week when I heard about the news. I was in a movie for Bohemian Rhapsody. I was finally watching Bohemian Rhapsody. And I know it's not important that I was doing that, but when I got the news, and it's actually towards the end of the film of Bohemian Rhapsody. So Queen's getting on stage at Live Aid. Hopefully I'm not ruining the movie for you guys.
All right, we're going to watch it Wednesday.
Spoiler alert, he got on stage at Live Aid.
But
Wait, they sang songs?
they sang a couple.
Wow.
Oh, it wasn't stand-up okay.
He had
go
a
ahead.
mustache?
So I'm in the movie, and I got a text from a friend of mine, and I read it to myself. You're not supposed to have your phone in the movie to begin with, and I would pretended that I didn't read what I saw. I kind of like, I was already in denial. And I got up from my seat and I went into the hallway just to get out from what was happening in the movie. I left during the most important part of the movie because it wasn't as important as what was actually on my phone. So I saw it, I read it again, and I couldn't believe it. And it was a shock. It was a shock, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I've never had a panic attack before, but I think I was like kind of halfway in with having one. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready at that time. Had I been at home or something and I would have saw it on TV, it might have been different, but I was not prepared at all for it. So when this all happened, I was an absolute mess, and my wife will probably also give her thoughts on that, but I was a complete wreck. So it was just this whole week's been difficult, and it's not for the sake that, it wasn't any shock. Everybody knew that it was going to happen really soon.
95, yeah.
Because he had gone through a lot of stress the last few years, more than he's ever deserved, and he's been in and out of feeling sick and ill. So it's actually a little strange. He actually was, the last time we heard from him, he was actually doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this kind of came as a real shock to me that it happened like this. But I met Stan on one occasion extensively, and then I also saw him 2 other times. One of them was at San Diego, and I'll talk about that one first because Stan was larger than life. And I saw him at San Diego Comic-Con. I think it was 2015. It was when Gambit was still expected to be filmed. It tells you how long ago this was.
God.
It might have been 2014, but I think it was 2015.
That's still now when you think about it. So, yeah.
I don't remember which year it was, but you had all of the Avengers on stage, all the X-Men on stage. Mm-hmm. You had both. You had Hugh Jackman. You had Channing Tatum, who was expected to be Gambit.
Still expected.
You had every single superhero in a Marvel property, both Fox and Disney Marvel movie. They were on stage, and out walked Stan Lee. And that guy was bigger than all those other people put together. He got the biggest ovation. He had the most cheer, and the fans went absolutely nuts when he walked out. And it showed you how much his fans, love him, but not only just that, but appreciated him. This is a guy that, whether directly or indirectly, created all of this content that shaped our childhoods. I grew up watching the X-Men animated series because there was really nothing else like it on television at the time. There's tons of cartoons, but it was pretty dark for kids, I think.
Especially rewatching it now as an adult.
Yeah, it's insane. And I know Rob loved the Spider-Man animated series when it came out,
Me
and
too. Reading the Spider-Man comic strip on the Sunday Comics.
there you go.
Yep.
They still have that weekly strip or daily strip actually. So yeah.
So whether it's directly or indirectly, I used to watch the Iron Man cartoon. It was like really, really bad, like one of the first Iron Man cartoons, and you're just like,
I know
this
what you're
makes
talking
no
about.
sense.
Even
Yeah,
Spider-Man and what was it His Amazing Friends or
I
Oh,
don't
gosh,
know.
yeah.
we're dating ourselves so bad right now.
Yeah, we really are. But I bring up the San Diego thing because it was one of the last times he was there, I think. But he was on stage and he got the largest ovation. There's close to 7,000 people in Hall H, and Stan walks out on the stage in front of all these other A-list actors, and they don't get even close to him. He's that big of a name. But I'll get to more closely personal experiences and stories. 2014, Stan came to our city, and it was a momentous occasion, and it was a big event.
Such a big deal.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a huge deal,
Especially for
and
San Antonio.
Yes.
I did the one thing that I could to kind of just be able to see him, up close, and I volunteered. I just wanted to be in a room where Stan would sit. And so I accomplished my goal, but I got way, 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 way much more. So I didn't con, but I worked in the area where Stan was going to be signing autographs, and his handler at the time, the person that was, kind of his manager on location, super nice guy. At the time, he's talking to the reps for the convention, and he says, I need a guy, or I need a person. I need a person to, just do whatever we need, to be with us wherever we go, that kind of thing. And he pointed to me, and he goes, that guy. I need that guy. He's going to be with us the whole time. And I kind of died for a second, and it slowly became a realization that for an entire weekend, I was going to be an assistant or a bodyguard for Stan Lee. Like, had somebody took a shot at him, I would have jumped in the way.
I can confirm how excited Ted was because we
We
were
got text. I was like, OMG, OMG, OMG.
yes, we were getting updates every time Stan breathed. Every time he took a breath, it was like, well, not to interrupt you, sorry, but
You're
it was
fine.
Yeah.
we were there for maybe I was there maybe for a good 3 hours, nonstop text from Ted,
Nonstop.
and I didn't hate it, but it was just awesome reading every single thing he was doing, and then it led into my story where I saw Stan on the stage, but. Go ahead, Ted. But it was awesome.
This is 4 years ago, so I'm a 30-year-old man acting like I'm 9, just inside, like outside, keeping my composure, making sure that I
Barely.
don't get thrown out of the building for any weird reason.
Inside his heart's like this.
Inside, I'm absolutely
If it
terrified.
was a cartoon, it would be
Yeah.
beating out the chest.
Inside, I'm absolutely terrified. So I'm not exaggerating. For an entire weekend, I got to shadow one of my heroes, one of our heroes. I'm your hero if you're watching and you feel the same way.
Yep.
Nothing will ever. I can't explain to you. I'm gonna do my best, but I can't explain to you completely how amazing it was to kind of see him. I mean, I couldn't record him every minute. I wish I could have. That way, people can see this individual in front of people, behind the scenes, and I'll talk with a couple of specific stories. But first, I want to start out with how amazing he is as a human being. No matter who he was speaking to, whether it was the people working for him, a fan, an artist, a cosplayer, a security guard, he treated everyone like they were his best friend, like they went way back. And I don't know how you do that, but he did it with everyone he spoke to, everyone that just came near him. He was kind, he was courteous, he was funny, he was charming. Everybody knows that Stan Lee charm. And I don't get it. I don't know how you have it switched on all the time, but it's not an exaggeration. He is always who you think he is. He's the sweetest guy. He, like I said, he treated everyone as if they were his best friend. And for the first day that actually I was working with his crew, I just watched. I didn't say a word. I didn't want to ruin my moment. I
Weren't
did.
sure if it was real or not.
Yeah.
I was pinching myself every hour. I didn't want to ruin the moment. I just wanted just one day just to see him and just to watch, not be an interference in any way. But I'm not kidding. Everyone he talked to, doesn't matter if he just met you, it doesn't matter if he's known you for years. He talked to you the exact same way. He treated you the exact same way. And it's a testament to what people have been saying about him for decades. Just how sweet he was, how kind he was. The nicest guy I've ever seen. Kind of fast forward a little bit. By day 2, I was already kind of getting exhausted. Stan's a busy guy. He's got a busy schedule. This is a prime example of what people say about Stan. By day 2, midway through the day, my legs are getting a little tired. We do a lot of walking. He's got autographs. He's got interviews. He's got to go take breaks and have lunch. He's got to come back. So we're walking around this huge convention center, from point A to B to C and D and all that. Well, we go to his panel. And I'm going to talk about the panel in a little bit again. But we go to his panel. It's a great panel. The theater is packed, and the fans go nuts, and it's perfect. And he's pure Stan Lee, start to finish. He gives every answer you expect him to give. He has every reaction you think he would give. I don't know how you do this all the time. It's a magic trick. To have that energy that he does in front of thousands of people after he's been signing autographs all day, meeting press and media, talking with fans, hundreds of fans every hour. That's what he did, and then he goes to his panel and he's still giving 120% of energy and charisma, and the fans are eating it up. And he's the greatest at it. But we leave his panel, and there's these thousands of people are all walking out of the theater. And unfortunately, we have to walk out the same exit. So when you go out the theater, you have to go left to go back to the convention center. And so we're behind this crowd. And like I mentioned, my legs are already, I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm not going to complain, but I can feel that myself getting a little tired.
And this is a 30-year-old versus a 91-year-old
He's
man.
91 at this time.
Work on that cardio, Ted.
He's 91.
Stamina, man.
He's 91, and this is what he says. He says to me and all of his crew, "I got this. Follow me." And he starts power walking past this crowd of hundreds of people, and he's leaving us in the dust, and I'm having to sort of jog to catch up to him.
Yeah.
And he's straight out the door, and it's another great story of Stan. He walked everywhere. He was in great shape. He could have. I talked to the organizer of that event earlier today, and he could have had people drive him around this whole place in a golf cart or something if he would have allowed them to, but he didn't. He wasn't about that. He had the energy of 10 people, and I was laughing. I was laughing out loud to myself, like, "Oh my God, this guy is unbelievable. He's unreal. He's making me look horrible. He's 60 years older than I am, and he's just putting me to shame. He's going off on his own, and he's got the energy after doing an hour panel. He's got the energy to kind of run past this huge crowd of people, and it's just it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and I never will again. I got one last story, and this is my favorite one. It's my favorite one of his, and it's something that I had kind of wondered about for a long time. I kind of prepared a little bit, which you probably should. If you ever think that you might meet your hero, I probably learn from experiences. Like, think of something to say. That way you don't just lose the moment. Because all of this entire weekend was not planned. It wasn't something I expected to happen. So this was all...
Put a note in your phone, too.
This is all fate.
Yeah.
This is all fate and destiny coming together. So I thought to myself, if I ever have a chance to talk to Stan, what would I ask and what would I say? So here's how the story goes. While we're backstage, waiting for his panel to start, his rep had gone outside, talk on the phone or something. So Stan's sitting there, and nobody's talking to him. He's sitting by himself. He's just, I think he's reading something. I can't remember, but in my head, I'm thinking to myself, if I don't say something now, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. So I walk up to him and asked him how he was doing and everything else. And he said, I'm doing good. And I said, you mind if I ask you a question? He said, sure, go ahead. And I told him a story that I heard. And the story goes like this. Bob Kane, who's a co-creator of Batman, along with Bill Finger, DC guy, obviously, drove in a limo to the 1989 Batman premiere with his wife, and also with Stan and Stan's wife. So Stan Lee was at the 89 Michael Keaton Batman premiere, like the big Hollywood premiere. And anyone who knows Bob or anyone who knew Bob would talk about how boastful he was. He wasn't shy to the spotlight or the limelight, and he would just kind of brag, but in a funny way. So him and Stan were good friends, and obviously if they're going to the premiere together with their wives. But Bob wasn't the kind of guy to ever hold back when talking about himself or his success or anything like that. So they pull up to the theater, and it's as crazy as you can imagine. There's thousands of people outside, and it's a huge deal because this is the first major Batman movie that ever happened, and it was Jack Nicholson's in it and Michael Keaton's in it, and it's gonna be this huge deal, right? So
Prince is singing the theme song.
Prince is singing the theme song.
Prince was there.
Yeah.
So this is a story that I'm telling Stan. I had heard that Bob he looked over to Stan and said, Stan, I hope one day you get to have all this success that I had. And I asked Stan, is that true? And Stan goes, yep, that happened. And I said, if you could talk to Bob today, what would you tell him about, what you've accomplished or what Marvel's accomplished? And Stan laughs. He gives a little chuckle, and he looks up, and he says, I'd tell him, I think we've done okay.
Oh my gosh.
Here's to you, Stan.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Never be
Thank
another.
you for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
To Stan.
To Stan. There would never be another one like him.
No.
That is one of the greatest moments of my life. Talking to the legendary, the iconic, there's no other word for him. He's a pioneer in the comic book industry, in the entertainment industry. He was larger than life. And despite all that, if you ask him to talk about his success, he will be the most modest, humble, funny, and charming individual you've ever met.
And as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
That's how.
It means you're always striving to get better.
Yeah.
So you're never satisfied.
So, again, to all you viewers, all you geeks and geekettes out there, if you've ever met Stan, if you have a story, go ahead and write it on the comments section of this post, and we want to hear from you. If you haven't been able to talk about Stan yet, do it now. Share whatever you have. If you have a favorite comic book, a favorite comic character, favorite group of characters that really resonated with you that Stan created, or maybe just a Marvel property. You know, he had ways of directly or indirectly influencing probably all the characters. So go ahead and write in the comments section of this post who your favorite character is, what your favorite cameo was, or your personal experience. Have you ever had the lucky chance of meeting Stan in person?
Yeah.
So his cameos are actually already filmed for Captain Marvel and Avengers 4. That's for sure.
For sure. I'm hoping for, like I said, Once Upon a Deadpool. Maybe he filmed one in there.
And probably Into the Spider-Verse.
I would
Yeah.
hope there's an animated cameo there, and I'm really hoping he was able to film a Far From Home cameo. I know it's early in filming.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he got out there because, like I said, Spider-Man was. I think that's what he's best known for. I would think.
Yeah. Oh,
That would be like the final send off for him. And if he felt like it, just put him in episode 9. They're all owned by Disney anyway, right? So I mean, I'm kind of hoping Far From Home, but yeah, it's gonna be weird to see him on screen, knowing he's not with us anymore. It was the same way with Carrie Fisher, watching episode 8 after she had passed away.
Yeah.
So, my friend Mike said it on the WrestleCast. One day we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna see him cameo, like that's gonna be the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be difficult to watch. So,
No matter who dies in Avengers 4, the most emotional scene
this is gonna be the cameo.
going to be the
Yeah.
cameo of Stan Lee.
and it's
Yeah.
funny. It's gonna be like the happiest cameo ever.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
we're all gonna be just
We're all
crying.
Yeah.
Miserable.
Like
Miserable.
we don't have to watch the rest of the movie. We just wanted to see that scene.
Like the worst snap dissolve in Avengers Infinity War was probably Spider-Man. I think that was the saddest one.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah.
And so like you said, whatever deaths may come in the next Avengers movie, it's going to be difficult. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So that is the best that we're going to do with a tribute to Stan Lee.
hey, everyone mourns their own way, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
we could probably spend days just talking about him and what he's contributed to our lives. Not just the industry, not just comic books, but our lives. Like, that's how much he's influenced humanity.
Any favorite tributes you've seen online or on TV yourself?
Uh,
No, I got a couple. First one was a political cartoon where it's Stan at the pearly gates holding a briefcase as Marvel,
That's great.
and the voice from God says, "I hear you're pretty good at creating
oh
universes."
yeah.
And then my second was this most recent episode of The Big Bang Theory, which is in its final season. And
Oh, wow.
that's gonna be emotional for me to watch. But the vanity card at the end, the writers always put like a little message. They just had a picture of the cast when Stanley was on an episode.
Oh,
They're all sitting on the couch. Girl that plays Penny, her name escapes me right now.
Kaylee Cuoco.
Kaylee Cuoco, but she's giving Stan a kiss, and it just says Excelsior forever. So that
Nice.
was
Wow.
a really great tribute. So
Last week, we went out to a local theater chain, and they had every major comic book store out there, and they had invited fans to go out there. So I went out there, and they had people speak in front of all the dozens of people that were out there, kind of saying what Stan sort of meant to them, how he's helped shape their lives. And at the very end, we had all these, probably about 100 or so people, yell out Excelsior. So that was a great moment. We'll have video of that later on. So that was a great tribute that I got to be a part of.
I think my favorite is it has to be actually the Toy Story 3 meme. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
We had
Oh
that
my
up on our
God.
Facebook page. Yeah.
We have it on our page, and it's where Andy is. I forgot the little girl's name, but it's near the end when Andy's giving all of his toys.
Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah.
But instead of Andy's face, it's Stanley's face.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of the little girl, it's Kevin Feige or Feige.
Feige, yeah.
And he's handing him the toys. Each one has Thor, Captain America, Hulk, like all the different characters, and oh my god, everything that it was just saying. I'm getting emotional right now because
Yeah, he is.
because you remember the movie, how sad it was, especially that scene, and just thinking, seriously,
Hold it together. We didn't grab the tissues before we started recording this.
I held it together. Come on.
It's all right.
thinking that it's
It's
Stan,
okay to cry, people. It's
like it's Stan, giving his send off, like these are my babies.
Let it out, big guy.
Take
Let
care
it
of
out.
them. No, I'm not. And that one to me is like probably one of the best tributes I've seen so far, and I've seen a bunch, but I like the one where the political cartoon, and I've seen one of Spider-Man sitting on a ledge, and he looks up in the sky, and it's a clouds, and it's like a cloud in the shape of Stan Lee, and I don't know, it's just there's just so many good ones, and it shows you how much he had an impact and how much people. This is the best way that we can pay tribute to him, pay homage, and
thanks to social media, there's so many that come out that everybody can see.
Oh yeah.
This is where it comes in handy, where it's definitely a benefit.
Or the good thing about social
Yeah.
media. Yes.
A lot of bad, but this is a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is our entire tribute to Stan that we can do in this one, shove in this one episode. A lot more to come from the countdown to the Geekcast. I would say we're working on some major events coming up in the next couple of months that we are almost ready to announce, but we're just kind of putting the final details together and all that good stuff.
All right, here we go.
One of the things that we're going to be doing,
He didn't even let us see this.
I didn't even let these guys see it.
I think I've heard about this.
So one of the things that we're going to be doing is next month, in honor of the, in honor of the Bumblebee movie, we're going to be giving away a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Bumblebee print in celebration of the movie.
That is awesome.
Unless I steal it before.
Yeah.
I'm putting this under lock and key.
That is sweet.
This is an official San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
The number down there. Wow.
These are numbered. There's less than, there's
10,000
10,000 in existence, and all of those were given out during the Bumblebee panel at last year's San Diego Comic-Con. So one lucky winner will win a San Diego exclusive Bumblebee print in celebration of the movie, which drops next month. The way to win it, you'll find out soon. Can't tell you now yet, not until we get a few more details figured out. So, I do know, but I'm not allowed to say until our partners are ready to announce it. So, if you want a chance at winning this, you have to follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. That way, when the announcement is made, you're going to know exactly what it takes to win this exclusive Bumblebee print. It's gorgeous. Thick paper and everything.
Yeah, it looks like it's on cardstock almost.
Feel that.
I don't want to. I'm scared. Oh, wow.
Don't rip it.
It's not,
It's not
It's not a
paper
thin-
or like a
regular paper. That's
thin
very
poster
nice.
board or anything like
If
that.
I touch it, you won't get that.
Yeah, I get that.
He already has a frame for it already. Look at that.
I know
So-
a picture I'm gonna take out. Yeah.
So we have some major events coming up pretty soon, and we're working with several different groups in order to get all of these separate things finalized. And as soon as the details are done and set in stone, you guys will be the first to know. For the Countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this very important and very necessary Stan Lee tribute episode is my buddy Jericho.
Later, y'all.
And the man, the myth, the legend, it's back. JC.
Thanks for watching. Excelsior Stan, we miss you.
We love you, Stan. Have a good night, everyone.
Again, the fans love your sense of humor, and it's
Well, it's an equal love fest because I love my fans. I cannot tell you how much I love my fans. They sometimes at night I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what's it all about, and then I get a letter from a fan, or I read something, or I see something, or I remember something, and I realize it's so lucky to have fans who really care about you. And that's the reason I care so much about the fans, because they make me feel so great. And there's something, if you think about it, that is wonderful about somebody caring about you as I care about them, whom you've never met, who may live in another part of the world, but they care, and you have something in common, and occasionally you contact each other. And this business of fans, I think, is terrific, and I love them all.